Hey guys, so I am going to go ahead and give you guys a step-by-step tutorial on how I edit my senior photos today. So what I'm showing you right now is the final product of the photo that we will be editing today. So yeah, let me go ahead. I am going to pull up the photo that we will be editing today. Okay, so this is what the photo looks like raw. I did shoot it on my 5D Mark III Canon 5D Mark III. I shot it with my 50mm 1.4. So for this photo specifically, the shutter speed is at 200. The ISO is at the ISO is at 200, and the aperture is at 1.4. So basically I already have all these settings set up right here, only because I have edited the image previously. So the first thing that I usually go ahead and do is I bring up this exposure right here. So this is what it looks like before I do. And because I bring it up so high, I usually will go ahead and bring the highlights and the whites down. So I'll go ahead and kind of give you guys an idea of what it looked like before. And why I do it. I also do bring the clarity up in the photo just so that the sharpness is a little bit higher. I will do a little bit of noise reduction, and I will also do a lens correction. With a 50mm, I find that there oftentimes is lens distortion, so I will almost always add this. Alright, so after that I'll go ahead and open the image in Photoshop. We'll go ahead and wait as that does. Okay. So the first step that I go ahead and do is I will remove any small blemishes that are on the face. Luckily, Natalie does not have any blemishes whatsoever. She is near perfection. But just for the sake of showing you guys how I do this, I will remove the small blemishes that she does have. So I will go ahead and go right here to the patch tool. I already have it opened, but I am just showing you guys so you have an idea of where it's at. So there's just a little bit that I'll go ahead and get rid of just for the sake of showing you guys how to do it. Obviously, from far away, you don't really see these blemishes. But this kind of gives you an idea of what we are doing. So after that, I will go ahead and merge the layers together. I think I totally forgot to mention that I duplicated the layers. How I did that was I double-clicked on background and then went to duplicate layer. I will probably make that mistake a couple of times in the video where I will do a step without thinking. So if I do anything like that and you're like, wait, whoa, how did you get there? Let me know. I will try my best to go ahead and talk about each step. So after that, I'll go ahead and duplicate the layer again. The next step that I go ahead and do is I do go ahead and use one of my Photoshop actions that I have preset for myself. I go ahead and I add my RGB settings, which basically what that is I do go into adjustments, curves. I will go to each color and I will adjust the contrast accordingly. And I went ahead and made a action for that just to go ahead and make it a little bit quicker for me in the editing process. So I do go ahead and find that this does have a little too much contrast. So what I'll go ahead and do is I will bring that opacity down to 80% opacity, whichever the word is. So that is what the difference looks like. So you can already tell a huge difference in my photos just from going to that Photoshop action and the raw photo. Oops. So I will go ahead and merge those layers again. The next step that I go ahead and do is I will go to color balance. So what I do is I do like to add a little bit of warmth to these skin tones for each photo. A lot of the times I will go up 10 on red and then 8 on yellow. It kind of varies for each photo because I do want to keep the skin still looking very natural. So what I go ahead and do from here is I will go ahead and add a layer mask, and then I will reverse it. I'll go ahead and use my brush, and I will paint that on the skin. I am really sloppy whenever I do this sometimes, so if you do make a mistake, you do mess up, you do go over the skin, you can always come around it. Super, super easy, and that is why we duplicate the layer. Because if you don't duplicate the layer and you do this, there is no way to go back. However, you cannot paint like this on a photo unless you do have a duplicate layer. Let's see. So I do find that this is a bit too much for her skin, so I will bring that down to about, I'm going to bring that up just a little bit actually, to about 80. I'm going to go ahead and merge the layers, duplicate the layer again, and the next step is I am going to bring a little bit more color into these greens back here. You can go ahead, when you go into selective color, you can just choose the greens, which I do like, and it does add a little bit of color, but for me, I do prefer a little bit more. So what I do is I will go into neutral, bring it up to 10, bring the black up just a tiny bit, and I will go ahead, add layer mask, and reverse the layer. And I am going to do, just like I painted her skin, I am going to paint the background. Like I said, I can get really messy with this step, so I almost always go back in and erase. A lot of the times the hair is where I will overcolor, obviously, like you can see on her hair right now. Alright, and that is where you see the difference in the greens. So the next step that I do, I sometimes will duplicate the layer. A majority of the times I don't, just because I do apply this to the entire photo. So the next thing I go ahead and do is I go into selective color, and I will go to neutrals, and with the entire photo I will bring the black down. This just goes ahead and adds a lot more richness in the colors. It definitely makes it a lot bolder. I do find sometimes that it does bring the saturation up just a little bit too much. That's okay because we will bring it right back down. So I am going to brighten this photo just a little bit. Sometimes when I do these steps, I'll find that I did not brighten it as much as I wanted to in the beginning. So the final step that I will do for the photo is I am going to bring the vibrance down just a little bit. And you can see just a little bit of a difference right here. I think I might want to add a little bit more contrast in this photo specifically. So I don't just go straight into contrast, I will come into curves and use it there. So just a slight difference in the photo. Don't like to add too much, still like to keep it as natural as possible. One thing that I do sometimes add with fashion portraits is I will go ahead and go into the blacks and I will add a little bit of magenta into it, which you can see right here, the difference, which I really do love that for this photo, honestly. I did not do it in the last photo, but I think I really like that. And I'm going to keep it. But yeah, so that is basically a tutorial on how I edit my photos. Super easy, a little bit time consuming. I don't usually edit in Lightroom unless it's for weddings. So I do spend a little bit of extra time on each portrait that I am editing. With beauty portraits, I do spend a lot more time, so I will probably do a tutorial in the future on how I do those and how I enhance the highlights and shadows in each photo, just all the steps that I do and all that kind of stuff. So if there's anything that I did not explain in the video that you really want to know, anything like that, please let me know. Please comment below. I would love to help you out and give you some tips and tricks. So until next time, guys.